The President of the United States is a coward who is Vladimir Putin's puppet. And the Vice President of the United States is a pogue and a coward who is Donald Trump's puppet. And so what we just witnessed was a meeting in the Oval Office between two cowardly puppets and a hero. And whether you voted for these puppets or not, just as an American, as a fellow American, it's just embarrassing that the only hero in the Oval Office, the only decent human being for that matter, is the Ukrainian. I mean, this administration is going to go down as an embarrassment to American history.
Congressman, I wonder if you think that President Zelenskyy could have handled it differently, the way that some of his European counterparts and Emmanuel Macron and Keir Starmer did, and perhaps been more deferential to Trump and Vance.
Deferential to what? Deferential to a president who allowed a deal in his first term to crumble because Putin just violated it? Deferential to a vice president who didn't even bother to visit Ukraine? I hardly know anyone in Congress who has any view on national security who hasn't been to Ukraine during this war. Deferential to a draft dodger who's our commander in chief? Zelenskyy doesn't deserve to be deferential to anyone in that Oval Office. In fact, I kind of wish he'd put them in their place a little bit stronger. I mean, this is just truly, truly embarrassing. And the vast majority of my Republican colleagues in Congress completely agree with me. They know the truth here. They're just too scared to say it themselves.
Again, just so you understand, Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No, in fact, to be frank, we paid 60% of the total default, and it was through, like the US, loans, guarantee, grants, and we provided real money, to be clear.
We wanted to have a little bit of what the European nations said. You know, they get their money back by giving money. We don't get the money back. Biden made a deal. He put in $350 billion. And I thought it was a very unfair situation.
We're not getting all of ours. I mean, quite a bit of ours was gifted. It was given. There were some loans, but mainly it was gifted, actually.
When you're coming in for a peace deal, put a suit on. He used to wear suits. A suit is not a costume. His War Greens regalia, that's a costume, like the one he wore on the cover of Vogue in 2022. You get the feeling this whole thing is kind of dress up. I mean, he's not exactly Winston Churchill.
Yeah, well, I think when Churchill wanted, America to get, involved in World War II, can you imagine him coming over here and kind of insulting, FDR, just strafing the whole Oval Office? That probably would have. Elon Musk doesn't wear suits either, we should say, and also wears hats and T-shirts in the Oval Office. But that's kind of his. He's not asking for money. He's volunteering. Yeah, and he's volunteering his services.
He's trying to give your money back, not take it. So, you got to dress for the occasion. But boy, that thing was like WWF Friday night.
If you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days. I heard it from Putin. In 3 days.
President Trump handled it in a fashion that if I'm China, I'm Iran, I'm any would-be adversary, I'd be worried about right now. He gave a master class in how to stand up for America.
Okay, so what we saw...
Trump didn't, what Trump did was not a master class. What Zelenskyy did was a master class. I don't know which part of Trump and Zelenskyy thing did you watched, but what I watched is Zelenskyy being like a gentleman and not breaking out and into rage like Donald Trump and G.D. Vance did. Masterclass. I don't think you're watching the same thing I am.
What happened in the White House after
close to an hour of conversation when President Zelenskyy directly challenged President Trump and Vice President Vance in front of the media and the American people. He really showed his lack of interest in any real good faith negotiations. I can tell you there were a lot of conversations that were happening through different emissaries, both for Zelenskyy and for President Trump, leading up to his visit there to the Oval Office. And President Zelenskyy's immediate escalation there was frankly quite a surprise.
Tulsi Gabbard, Tulsi Gabbard, no one sworn you in, so I don't even know why you're there. Donald Trump didn't swear you in. He forgot. And J.D. Vance, he was there, but you went there and you forgot for your I think it was your dad's Bible. So he just he left, and then you had someone else swore you in. But it wasn't J.D. Vance, so no one swore you in. I don't know why you're even there, And again, Zelenskyy did nothing wrong. He was a total gentleman. It was Trump and Vance who escalated it, and wasn't really supposed to be escalated, but they did anyways. I don't understand why. Maybe you could ask them.
What do you want to see happen next?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know if you can repair the damage. I don't know if you can ever do a deal with Zelenskyy anymore. Listen, did you see a guy that you felt good about going into business with? And I've been a fan. I've met him more times than I can count. But today showed just poor judgment, showed lack of control. Now, what I want him to do, I guess, is just to say, I screwed up big time for my country and for the U.S. relationship. And if I had it all do over again, I'd done it differently. I'm sorry. If he can't say that, then Ukraine, you either need to send us somebody new we can deal with or just accept the consequences.
Senator, thanks for popping on.
Of Russia for kidnapping children in Ukraine and sending them to Russia. Do you believe in family values? How would you like that to happen to your family? So just shut up, get out of here. If you want to speak, go run and get elected. So here's the deal. I've been hoping for all my life. Not one American has died defending Ukraine. You've taken our weapons and you've kicked their ass. How do you deter Putin? You arm this guy to the teeth.
This morning, I urged him to stay on message, be grateful, be thankful. We'll talk about details of security guarantees later. Keep it upbeat, keep it positive. It was absolute, utter disaster. The question for me is he redeemable in the eyes of Americans? Most Americans witnessing what they saw today would not want Zelenskyy to be their business partner, including me, and I've been to Ukraine 9 times since the war started. I met with him this morning. President Trump I talked to last night, he was upbeat about the deal. I've never been more proud of President Trump for showing the American people in the world you don't trifle with this man. He was very positive. He was very upbeat. He wanted to get a ceasefire. He wants to end the war. And Zelenskyy felt like he needed to bait Trump in the Oval.
I mean, this was shameful. This was really, I've never been embarrassed to be an American, and today was embarrassing. And it was awful. I mean, let's keep in mind, Vladimir Zelenskyy had an opportunity to flee Ukraine when Russia attacked, and he stayed. Is there anybody that has any doubt whether or not Donald Trump would flee the country if we were attacked?
I think the public spat in the Oval Office in front of the media served Ukrainians well today.
I think this kind of spat is this is not good for both sides anyway, and I very open, but I can't change our Ukrainian attitude to Russia.
and I don't want they kill us for us. You know, this is very, very clear that Americans are the best of our friends, Europeans are the best of our friends, and Putin with Russian, their enemies. And it doesn't mean that we don't want peace. We just want to recognize the reality.
But do you agree with that President Trump is too close to Vladimir Putin in your mind?
We spoke about it, and I think today very openly President Trump, he said that I want to be in the middle, otherwise I will not put these guys at the table.
And is he right?
I want to be very honest, I want really him to be more at our side. I will explain why. Because it's not just that the war began somewhere between our countries. The war began when Russia brought this war to our country, and they're not right.
I think we all understand the situation. Russia is the aggressor, and Ukrainians are the aggressed people. We must respect those who have been fighting since the beginning. We're all right, Europe, Canada, the Japanese, to help Ukraine and sanction Russia 3 years ago. And we will continue to do so.
NATO is not the thing that Russia is afraid of. Russia is afraid of democracy expanding to Russia, because NATO has never, and any NATO countries have never attacked Russia. The point is that why are we in NATO is because we are afraid of Russia. And the only thing that really works, the only security guarantee that works is the NATO's umbrella.
Doesn't even know enough about the topic to be having the discussion. When Zelenskyy asked him, have you ever been to Ukraine? He said, no, I've seen it on TV. Are you kidding me? I've seen it on TV is your excuse for being able to lecture the president of Ukraine in the middle of a war, as opposed to having some actual knowledge when he's telling you about Russia. And everyone knows about Russia's history except apparently J.D. Vance. It's clear that Zelenskyy has never thanked America. He has repeatedly thanked America. That's completely false. So J.D. Vance had no reason to say that. The idea that he should somehow apologize for what he's done. Did J.D. Vance ever apologize for calling Donald Trump America's Hitler or calling him an idiot?
Oh, I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
It makes you think that at a fundamental level, this is sort of a he said, she said, right? And at the end of the day, do you believe Donald Trump, who always tells the truth? Just kidding. Or do you believe that woman on that tape?
I cannot stand Trump because I think he's a fraud. Well, I think he's a total fraud that is exploiting these people, who is a total fraud.
Like you said, I agree with you on Trump because I don't think that he's the person. I don't think he actually cares about folks.
Definitely, there is definitely an element of Donald Trump support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia. I think there's a chance, if I feel like Trump has a really good chance of winning, that I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton. I think that I'm going to vote third party because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelenskyy and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now.
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you?
You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You got to be more thankful.
We have artillery. Yes. Thank you. America's leadership remains solid. Thank you. All this for our great people. Thank you so much. And I thank every American every in the world who is helping for every life saved in Ukraine. All my appreciations from my heart, from the heart of Ukrainians, all Ukrainians, from our nation, strong nations, all the appreciation to you, first of all, Mr. President, for your big support. And I want to thank all Americans, each and every one, leaders and ordinary people who see this reality, who know how important it is to protect freedom now, who support Ukraine. We are grateful to President Biden, to both parties and houses of Congress, and to every state that is involved in one way or another in protecting freedom. Хочу подякувати пану президенту за цей його візит, за переговори, дійсно корисні. Дякую також від імені усіх українців, усім американцям, звичайним людям, лідерам громад, спільнот, членам Конгресу від обох партій і усім членам команди президента Байдена за те, що наші відносини між Україною і Америкою досягли історично найзмістовнішого рівня. Нас можна назвати справжніми союзниками, і наше союзництво з Америкою дійсно зміцнює світ. Ми цінуємо американську підтримку. А окремо хочу подякувати всім нашим партнерам сьогодні за підтримку саміту миру. Я дякую вам, пане президенте Байден. Дякую обом партіям та палатам Конгресу. Дякую тобі, Америко. А сьогоднішній результат у домовленостях про атакамси для України всі крапки розставлені. Дякую, пане президенте, дякую, Конгрес, дякую, Америко. Дякую усім американцям. With his people, because he was there. This moment when President came, it was very important for boosted morality of Ukrainian people. It was the first time, by the way, in the history of the United States of America, when the President of the United States is in a country which is in a war, but not controlled by American army.
As President Zelenskyy pointed out, he was aware that no American president has gone into a war zone without the military guarding him. But I was determined to show up in Kyiv to let the world know we supported the Ukrainian people against Russian aggression. There's no better way to show it than for an American president to get on a train on a multi-hour ride to say, we're with you.
There in Ukraine, they know what does the support of United States cost. And people looked at this, it means that Ukraine is not alone.
We couldn't fly in, we were afraid to get shot down. And the concern of the Secret Service was they were going to know we're here, someone's going to do something to take out the train. What it was like was hoping to communicate to the people of Ukraine, they're brave as hell, that we weren't going to walk away.
You never know what will be next. That is the tragedy of the war. We didn't really imagine it. Will it be tomorrow? When the war came, when Putin came, we thought that we have to survive maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. I remember the feelings, maybe 20 days, maybe months, then maybe 2 months, then 3 months. After the year, the war didn't stop. The winter were the first blackouts. People never knew how to live without energy, without electricity, without phone calls. Our people, you have to know our people, they are very strong, and they, even during the night, they begin to sing songs in the streets in the winter. If you want not to lose your country, don't lose your people. And I think what was between us, between presidents, I think something changed. It began to be between, not two presidents, between two men. We will understand what all of us really did for Ukrainians' life. And I think it's so important that we will see that big role